Hey everybody, Happy New Year! So I recently posted on Instagram about how I was writing my goals and plans for 2019. I know it's a cliche to talk about this around this time of the year, but the start of a new calendar year is a great time to reflect upon last year and think about what could be improved in the coming one. Some of you have asked me to share my 2019 goals and resolutions, and while some of them are personal and very specific to me, there are others that I realize are pretty universal and could actually potentially be interesting and useful for others as well. So without further ado, here are 5 of my healthy habits that I want to have in 2019. Oh, and by the way, stay tuned till the end of this video to find out why I turned down a lot of money and publicity in 2018 and why those experiences helped me form one of my resolutions for the new year. So my very first healthy habit for 2019 is to spend my morning doing something productive. I like to wake up pretty early, between 5:30 and 6:30, and the reason for this is that my brain is the sharpest and most productive early in the morning. So if I wake up early and get things done before 9 a.m., which is when I usually start to practice, I can have a much more efficient start to my day and I end up accomplishing much more than I would if I woke up later and did things later. However, a really terrible habit that I've picked up and really want to break in 2019 is that the first thing I tend to do when I wake up in the morning is reach for this thing. Instead of using this really valuable window of time during which my brain is at its sharpest to do something productive, I end up scrolling through social media, checking my notifications, answering messages, reading random articles on the internet, and before I know it, an hour of one of my most valuable hours in the day is gone. So I've decided that in 2019, instead of spending the first few hours of my day on my phone doing something that isn't really that important, I'm going to spend the first 2 to 3 hours of my morning doing something that brings me closer to achieving my goals. This can be time spent reading, studying something, learning something new, exercising, meditating. It can be anything as long as it's aligned with my goals for 2019. I realized that even if I just dedicate 1 hour every morning to something I want to grow or improve in my life, that's still 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month, and 365 hours a year that I'm dedicating to something positive, and I'm guaranteed to either succeed at it or gain a lot of valuable experience in the process. Basically, I want to control my mornings. I don't want my mornings to control me. Which brings me to healthy habit number 2. In 2019, I've decided to only check social media at 3 dedicated times during the day. I don't want to be a slave to my social media. Now, don't get me wrong, I love social media and I think it can be a great thing. But I think we also have the tendency to get addicted to it and let it take over our lives, which is definitely not healthy. Do we really need to check our Instagram every 15 minutes to see what's happened? No. All of that stuff will still be there 6 hours later. I always say that all those minutes here and there during which we just mindlessly scroll through our Instagram and Facebook feeds add up to a significant amount of our day and ultimately our lives. So that's why I've decided to just set 3 times a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening, during which I check everything and answer whatever needs to be answered. It's very rare that anything happening on social media needs to be urgently consumed, and I'd rather spend all those minutes on Instagram and Facebook doing something productive instead. Healthy habit number 3 is to establish a workout routine. Now, it's not that I don't work out, and it's not that I'm not an active person. I go to fitness classes a couple times a week. I work out at home or at my gym, and I'm just generally someone who is pretty active. I walk almost everywhere in New York City. I'm the kind of person who would rather walk 80 blocks even if it takes longer than take the subway, just because I prefer it and I like to always be moving. But the thing is, I don't have an actual workout routine anymore. I kind of sign up for gym classes here and there. If I see something that looks interesting, I'll do a workout at home, I'll do some yoga. I don't have a real plan anymore, and I've definitely seen the effects of that on my energy levels, on my mind, on my body, on my mood, and on my sleep. While I love taking fitness classes and trying new things, I really want to reestablish a workout routine just so I know that I'm working out a set number of times every week and exercising every part of my body equally. What I mean by this, without going too much into detail, is that I like to split my training into different days for different body parts. So for example, I'll have an upper body day, a core day, a lower body day, a day for cardio, a day for stretching. This way it just makes sure that every part of my body and every muscle is regularly exercised and taken care of. All the times in my life at which I've been my fittest and strongest, I've been following this kind of plan, and I just want to re-establish this in 2019 so I can get back into my peak shape. Healthy habit number 4 in 2019 is to eliminate negative self-talk. I feel like a lot of the time I don't do things, I don't execute ideas I have, and I don't take certain risks because there's this little voice in the back of my head that says, what if this doesn't work out? What will people say? What will people think? And that is negative self-talk. You know what I've realized? Most of the time when I take risks and do the things I'm afraid of, they work out. And I think this is because people are capable of much more than they think they are, and the thing that holds us all back is actually ourselves. It's that little voice in the back of our head that breeds fear, worry, insecurity, and all the other things that keep us from achieving what we want in life. That is negative self-talk, and although I've gotten much better at reducing it, I still feel it creep up from time to time in the back of my head. And you know where this voice comes from? I think this voice truly comes from a place where we're all afraid of what other people will say and think of us. And you know what I've learned? Who cares? It's impossible to be universally loved by everyone in this world. There will be always someone who doesn't like me, who doesn't like you for whatever reason of theirs, and it's outside of our control what they think and say about us. However, what is within our control is the way we choose to live our lives. The purpose of life is not to go around trying to make every single person you meet like you. That's not possible. The purpose of life is to live in a way that's authentic to yourself and makes you genuinely happy, as long as you don't harm anyone else, of course. So this year, whenever any negative self-talk comes into my head, I'm gonna say, stop, do you, boo. And this brings me to healthy habit number 5, which is to be authentic. As I begin 2019, one of the most important things on which I'm focusing is to only spend my energy on things in which I authentically believe. Whether this is in my personal relationships, my professional relationships, my work, the projects I take on, the people with whom I collaborate, I've learned that in order for me to live happily with myself, I need to do things in which I genuinely believe and can support. For example, I recently turned down a partnership with what was the biggest brand that had ever approached me for a collaboration. I won't say who it was, but I will say that it's a brand that probably 4 out of 5 Americans nowadays know, and if I walk out of my apartment in New York City right now, I can find their products in virtually every single store that sells their kind of stuff. I'd known about them for a long time, and I'd actually wanted to try their products for a while, so I was beyond excited when they first reached out to me. However, once they sent me their products in the mail to try, I immediately felt uncomfortable. Without going too much into detail, basically their products weren't what I thought they were. They weren't something on which I'd personally spend my money, and in fact I felt that they actually went against a lot of what I believe in and talk about. So that was the end of that. Even though it was a really great opportunity, I'm someone who believes in practicing what you preach, so it was a very clear no for me. Another example is a proposal I had a few months ago to do a musical project. These people were really interested in working for me, and they actually offered me a huge sum of money, about 10 times what I would normally make for this kind of project, but I immediately said no because the ideas that they had in mind were just not aligned with the kind of stuff I want to create and put out into the world as an artist and as a person. So it was also a very clear no for me. So in 2019, I want to continue to carry this sentiment throughout my entire life. Whether this is in my personal or work relationships, the content I create, the people with whom I collaborate, the companies with whom I work, the ideas I put out, I would rather miss out on an opportunity if it's something I don't feel fully resonates with the person I am, than do something behind which I can't fully stand. And I say miss in quotations because while it might seem at first like you're losing an opportunity, I've personally learned from my experience that when you let go of something in your life that isn't right, it makes room for something that is, and that's what I want to bring more of into my life in 2019. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if any of these healthy habits resonate with you guys, and let me know if you guys have any different healthy habits that you're resolving to do in 2019, because I would love to hear from you guys and I would love to learn from you as well. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, because I make new videos every week. And in the meantime, you can keep up with what I'm doing on Instagram.com/Sofia Basler and Facebook.com/Sofia Basler. I'll see you next week. Bye!